Today on Crested Butte is Home, we are going to learn how a 17-year-old kid from Australia ended up at Western State College way back in 1979 and then went ahead and put down roots here with a long career in ski patrol and a successful construction company. So my guest is Johnny Biggers, and it's a great episode, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you haven't already, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever else you get your podcasts. And let's just go ahead and get on with the show. My guest today on Crested Butte is Home is Johnny Biggers. So Johnny, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from and all that.
Yep, my name's Johnny Biggers. I moved to Crested Butte I moved to Gunnison in the fall of 1979 to attend Western State College. Once I checked into the dorms that first day, I immediately hitchhiked to Crested Butte to come check it out because I came from Sydney, Australia to Crested Butte, so that was I really wanted to get up here and check it out in the fall of '79.
And what did you think when you made it up here?
Actually, I rode up, hitchhiked with my roommate at Chipeta Hall, and we were in the back of a pickup truck, so we were sort of reversed, looking out the back.
Okay.
But as I came up to Round Mountain, you come around that big corner and you look up the valley. We turned around and went, wow. This is just like what the magazine said it would be like.
Nice. So, all right. Well, speaking of that, and we just started talking about that a little bit, but so how does a kid from Australia make it to Western State College?
Yeah, long story, but going back to when I was 3 years old, my father started a ski club with his university buddies, his Sydney university buddies in Sydney, Australia, in the Snowy Mountains, which is about 300 miles southeast of Sydney.
Okay.
And the mountains go to about 7,000 feet. At that time, in the early 60s, the National Park Service was opening up leases for people to build club lodges. Okay. So they weren't individual homes, they were club lodges, so they had upwards of 20, 25 members or families. And my dad had started skiing in the Snowy Mountains, I think, in the early 50s. He used to skin up. Consequently, I started doing a lot of skinning, and he was like, well, why are you skinning? There are lifts now. He was skinning in the 50s when they had very few lifts, or the lifts they did have up at Charlotte's Pass, he couldn't afford the lift ticket at the time. But he and my mother got me into skiing at 3 years old, and I loved it. I grew up on a beach in Sydney, grew up swimming, surfing, tennis, of course, cricket, rugby. And but skiing was something I loved. The mountains. Yeah, I just loved the Snowy Mountains. And they're big and round, but they are pretty cool. And the wind blows like mad up there, and it does get cold. In fact, they had an incredible season this year. In fact, it's still going on. Yeah. They've got great snow. New Zealand does too. So anyway, I was fascinated with skiing. And I grew up with Austrian ski instructors teaching me how to ski from 3. Okay. And in the late 60s, 70s, the Americans started coming down to teach skiing. And I sort of bonded more with those guys, common language, sort of the same sort of attitudes. Australians and Americans are pretty laid-back, friendly types of people. Right. Not that the Austrians weren't, but they were a little more rigid, I would say, but they were really good skiers. Yeah. I mean, they taught me to ski well. Yeah. It was bend the knees and, get forward. And this was before high back boots, too. But at any rate, I was interested in sort of the American ski scene and the freestyle scene that was happening over here in the early 70s with Scott Brooksbank and Mike Grazier, who lived here. Crested Butte had a ton of great freestyle skiers. Mike King, I think, was a bump champion. Airborne Eddie Ferguson, Wayne Wong.
The whole hot dogger thing.
Hot dog thing, not so much the race thing. I like skiing bumps, and I go, America's a place to go to if you want to ski bumps. They've got exhibition at Sun Valley, Mark 1 at Breckenridge, I think, and Lookma at Vale. Some big famous runs. Anyway, I would go to the news agency when Skiing Magazine came out. Of course, it was our summer, and I happened to get the one of December 1974, and that had an article on Crested Butte. And actually, you can Google it and get the magazine.
Awesome.
I read the article. I actually have it on my phone, and I showed people when they asked me why I came here from so far away.
Yeah.
And I read the article. It had a picture of the Butte. It had a picture of downtown with the false front, Victorian Western look, and I just loved it. And the fact that the mountain looked like a mountain,
right,
compared to in the magazine, the cut trails of Copper Mountain, Breck, Winter Park. Not that they're not good ski areas, Steamboat, but Crested Butte had the peak.
Yeah.
And of course it has the banana, which I came to love. But at any rate, the article talked about all the expert skiers would go up and climb up to the upper peel and ski the powder down the peel. And I just read that when I was 14 years old and was like, I'm going to go do that. And consequently, I've done it a few times.
Yes.
So I got the chance to come to college after high school, which was the fall of '79. I graduated in '78, but I worked at a ski area in Australia, and that was June of '79, June, July, August, and I bumped into a guy that I'm a friend with still. An American ski patrolman was down there, and I said, I've got the opportunity to go to college. Potentially Bozeman, Montana. I'd gotten in up at Montana State, University of Utah, University of Colorado, Western State College of Colorado in Gunnison. I think I even applied maybe in Washington, thinking maybe ski up at Crystal or somewhere up there. But everything was geared around
skiing.
And my dad loved it. And
awesome.
He goes, this is great. But I met this American guy from Sun Valley, Idaho. He was a ski patrolman there. He actually grew up in Pocatello. And ski patrolled at Pomerelle as well, which is a very small area.
Yeah, I think I've
just
driven
north
by.
of the Utah border.
Yeah, I was going to say I've driven by it on the interstate. I think.
Big Dome Mountain. It's near the City of Rocks, which is great rock climbing.
Yeah,
and he, Dennis DeThomas, I'm a Facebook friend of his still. He's retired, but he was working at Perisher Valley, which is where our club lodge was, and consequently. I was sort of attracted to him as a mentor. He had K2 skis, marker bindings, and Lang boots, and I was all over that.
Okay.
I liked Phil Mayer.
Right.
Yeah, I liked the American brothers. Scene. Yeah. Even the American racing, the Mayers were on top of the world. Stenmark was better, but they were right there.
Right.
And they could win races and win some World Cups.
And they did. And they won a bunch of Olympic in 80, but yeah.
And it was a great time. And he said, Johnny, if you want to go skiing and go to school, you got to go to Gunnison and ski Crested Butte.
Wow.
And so that reinforced what I'd seen in the magazine. And I was like, I'm going there. And, absolutely no regrets. I mean, it was everything I thought it would be.
Awesome.
So it has, I've been thinking about Crested Butte, since I was 14. And I'm like going on 59 now.
Wow.
So it's been a while.
Most of your life, by far.
The interesting thing on Perisher Valley is that the ironic thing is, to me, last year Vail Resorts bought Perisher Valley.
And now
of course we know it's pending closing here in Crested Butte, and my sister skis there, and she runs the bookings for that lodge for all families. And she's like, oh, well, my pass will now work
over here.
I was
going to say.
And she does come here. So.
And you'd be able to go and visit there, too.
And I could go there.
I
would like to go back and ski there. It's there's only 1,000, 1,200 vertical max.
Yeah, but it'll be summer here, and it'll be fun to relive.
It really would.
Nice. So, so you get here. Well, first of all, how do you apply for colleges from Australia? And at that day and age, you're not looking it up on the Google. So,
no, you're not looking it up on Google. But there were ways to do it. You had to take the SAT, and I did, and got enough of a score to certainly get into Western and some of those other ones I mentioned.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But you're just having to mail them for an application. Then a month later it would come and.
Everything was a month or longer.
Or 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
So it took a while.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so you get here, you're going to Western. What were you doing at Western? You were just skiing your butt off,
so I fly in. The other ironic thing, I had some friends in San Francisco, went and stayed a couple of days with them over there on my way here. I flew San Francisco, Denver, was cloudy, and I still have the photo of it. And then the clouds were sort of, as we came over Colorado, I've got a window seat. I always fly window seat wherever I go. I like to look out the window. Yeah. I was big into geography when I was in high school, which is what I have a geography minor from Western. I wanted to get a major in it, but they didn't have, I don't think they had it. But anyway, I looked out the window and I thought we were over Colorado. Clouds were parted and the butte was right there, and I took a photo of it because that flight comes pretty close to you.
Sure.
San Fran to Denver.
Yeah.
Got the little small plane jump over to the Gunnison airport, which was the older airport, and this guy was sitting next to me, sort of a cowboy guy, and he was just asking me what I was doing. I had a much stronger Australian accent then because I don't anymore.
Sure.
But I said, I'm going to Western, and he goes, well, you got a ride? Have you got a ride to get over to the college? And I go, no, I'm just going to walk over there. I had a backpack and a ski bag. I can walk 5 miles.
Sure.
So he goes, no, I'll put you in my pickup truck. So this guy who I met on the plane gave me a ride to Chipeta Hall, which is still there, and dropped me off there. I went in, and I had a room reserved. I had a roommate there. And, that was the guy. That day we hitchhiked up because I was like, I wasn't disappointed in Gunnison in the topography by any means because I had sort of researched it being into geography, but I was like, I got to get up to the bigger mountain.
Right. Where's the big stuff?
And it's up here. So, but both towns are linked together.
Sure.
And the county is so.
Yeah. In today's Crested Butte Real Estate Minute, I wanted to talk about the recent news that interest rates are now at 5% in October of 2018, and that is a 7-year high. And what that means is if you are borrowing $100,000 for 30 years, you're going to pay about $60 more than you would have a year ago back when rates were around 4%. And while that certainly isn't a great thing for a buyer, I think it's important to remember that 5% is still historically pretty low as far as mortgage rates go. Certainly isn't the 18% rates that were seen in the early 80s back when Johnny Biggers first arrived here in Crested Butte. And I would also suggest that interest rates will probably continue to rise with the economy continuing to expand. So those are my thoughts on that. My name is Frank Consella. My website is CrestedButteRealEstateAgent.com. You can find my contact info there and give me a shout if you have any questions at all about real estate in Crested Butte or in Gunnison. So you graduate from Western and you've stayed. So
I did. Yeah, I came on a student visa. So I'm on I can't remember if F1 student visa sort of rings a bell to me. That you apply for and you get.
Yeah.
They probably still do them. I'm sure they still do them. And so that allowed me 4 years at school. Maybe I was 4.5. I graduated in December of '83.
Okay.
And I think I went through the ceremony of May of '84. But at any rate, I got a degree in sociology and a minor in geography and anthropology.
Oh, fun.
From Western. So and I ran cross country at Western my first 2 years there.
Okay.
For Dwayne Vandenbush. That's how I met Dwayne. He was my coach. Plus, I was in the humanities department, sociology, economics, history. Was all in Kelly Hall at Western.
Yeah.
So, I met Dwayne. I was a walk-on. I did not get recruited by him.
Okay.
But I had run in high school and as a kid.
So you ran here.
Yeah, I ran. I was running like 6 to 8 on the team. Sometimes I go to meets. You had to be 1 through 6. So it's sort of just right on that.
Right on the edge.
Right on that edge. But I mean, those guys were fast.
Uh-huh.
And in high school, I won a lot of races outright. But the competition was much stronger up here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, there was a guy named Kurt Larsch, who's maybe some people remember him. He was born in Leadville. He was a good friend of mine, ski patrol friend of mine at Crested Butte too. But man, that guy had lungs.
I bet.
He had lungs.
Growing up in Leadville, you'd have to. Okay, so perfect. So that was going to be my next thing. So you were patrolling, started to patrol. So when did that start? How did that?
First year I was here was 79, 80. That winter, that I've consequently, when I worked, I ended up getting on ski patrol in 1982 through 99. But I would tell you that 79-80 was one of the biggest winters recorded at that ski area. With Danny were taking the notes, and I think they only recorded when they went to work there, and it snowed 425 inches.
Wow.
And I don't think they counted anything that happened after they closed or anything before. And so my first year here was absolutely phenomenal. It was the third of 3 big winters after that 76 drought.
I was going to say, after the horrible year.
Horrible year of 76, 77, the next 3 were huge, and each one getting bigger. And then, of course, 80, 81, it didn't snow. It was sort of like last year.
Right.
That was like the 120-inch year.
But more than the 76 year.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So that first year, the patrol would open up Upper Peel. You had to hike to it because you came in, you got off the old bubble quad. Bubble chair of the Silver Queen, unloaded right in front of the patrol shack.
Okay.
Came
close
up
to the top of Twister.
Came
Twister
up over
chair.
Monument. It had the big concrete splitters to knock that the avalanches on Monument.
Oh,
could go
okay.
around. It had big concrete blocks up there.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the old gondola line. They'd consequently retroed it into a bubble chairlift. That took at least 20 minutes to get up there. But that first year, I was like, this skiing is awesome. And, I was actually pretty good skier when I came here. Of course, at Chapita Hall, it was all like, who's the best skier?
I bet.
So we all came up here one day in December. They opened December 7th. First Saturday in December, that was opening day, and the whole front of the mountain was open, and Keystone Ridge was open.
So you actually got to do a little competing.
We all went down, and I had those K2 810s, 204s. Love those skis, marker bindings, Lang boots. No, actually I had Nordica boots then, but I changed. So anyway, we went to school, skied, but I started to realize that, the ski patrol guys were the guys doing the explosive work, the avalanche control work, and the guys skiing the lines first.
Yeah.
And I had always wanted to be a ski patrolman, a pro ski patrolman. We had volunteers in Australia, but the pros were the cool guys.
Oh, yeah.
And I really wanted to get on that patrol. And it was some of the best skiers in this town were on that patrol at the time. I got Brock Smith had maybe he wasn't on it in 79, but he might have been. BC, Teddy Connors, Rock Kickelvich, Tim Rolfe, even Frank Coffey was on the patrol then as well. So
those guys still around. For sure.
Dan Ewert, he's still around. They're all my friends, and I tried out for the school the next year, 80, 81, but they canceled it because it didn't snow.
Okay.
So I had to wait a year. And then they said I was too young. I had to be 21. I think I turned 21 in 81. I did. That I couldn't do it in 79. So I did it in 80, 81, 82, and got hired the next year. But we had a lot of people tried out. I think I did the school with Don Cook, maybe, Steve Cook. Some of the guys that are still here.
Yeah.
Robin Spence. Bill Dow. I did the school with Bill Dow. He's now the ski patrol director.
Yeah.
Bill was hired a few months before me in the fall of 82. And then I was hired when Mark McAllister, who a lot of people may know, old-timers may know, left in late fall, early December 82.
Okay.
And I got on, and I have a photo of my first day on the job. I was just, it's what I wanted to do. School, I wanted to get through school. But I was like, I'm going to do this. I didn't know what I was going to do in the summer.
Right.
But that sort of fell into place with construction,
like it does for everyone still today.
That most of those guys on the patrol had construction companies or knew somebody. Jack Huckins was on the patrol. Bob Huckins was on the patrol. Tim Rolfe. Jeff Pike. Those guys were all on the patrol, and I think my first OB was on the patrol, and I think Bob might have given me my first construction job, but I worked for a lot of different contractors up here in the early days. Yeah. But that's what you did. You ski patrolled, then you pounded nails.
Yeah.
And different than now, and you're in real estate, that we could build homes in 4 to 6 months in the early 80s.
Because they were a little smaller.
Way smaller, and there were no choices.
Right.
You got linoleum on your countertops.
Right.
You go to Sears and get an appliance.
Uh-huh.
I mean, Crested Butte was not how it is now with the myriad of choices and really upmarket choices.
Yeah. So what was the mountain like back then? I don't know the timeline of like when was the high lift wasn't there, the North Face lift wasn't there.
No, the 79, the North Face lift was not there. It was all hike to the North Face. They ran, it was such a good year, and they had been running tours to the headwall, because I went on one.
So those were tours only?
Tours only. As far as I can remember, it was not open to the public for hiking.
Okay.
But one of the instructors, one of the tour guides, was either some of the patrol guys or Jack Marciel, and they did tours to Phoenix, Spellbound Phoenix.
Because those were tours only as well, so you could only do the Glades otherwise. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, Glades North Face.
Yeah.
They had that. They had the Peel. Flatiron was closed.
Okay, so it's just at the edge of Peel. Okay.
Yeah. West Side was always a bit of a different animal for how snow safety treated the mountain. Mm-hmm. They were somewhat scared of it in a sense. I mean, it has had some big slides there. Obviously, it's huge slide paths.
I mean, it's a way longer slide path.
Yeah. Way longer, and all the mountain managers and the skill level and equipment was getting better all the time from the 60s when the ski area started.
Sure.
Into the 70s, and then into the 80s, the skiers got better, or the equipment was better too.
Right.
And the avalanche control work got smarter and better. Yeah. It wasn't just fire that recoilless rifle off Calvary Hill and try and hit the head wall, which is what they used to do.
Right.
But so tours were, as far as I can remember, and I were to Phoenix, Spellbound Phoenix, and Headwall, and I did all of those and was like, wow. This is awesome.
Yeah. And when did they start? So when did those lifts come in? Do you remember?
I think the North Face lift went in maybe 85 or 6 or 7. I should know this, but that really helped the ski patrol with the Forest Service to open Spellbound Phoenix to the public, because the Forest Service wanted to know that you had response time to accidents.
Right.
And we had the lift. The lift went in, and then Schofield Road got cut to put the lift in. Mm-hmm. And then off Schofield Road, that was the old way we used to go to Spellbound, when you had to skin up before the lift. And that was only us on the patrol that were doing that.
Okay.
We had basic... we made sort of our own skins out of Army surplus skins. We had to sew them all together, and they weren't glues, and it was nothing like it is today.
Yeah.
We didn't have walking bindings, although Marker made that... MR, it had the MR toe piece.
Yeah, I've seen a pair of those, actually.
You could release it, and you could get about 4 inches of rise out of the back.
Yeah, not a full stride, but you had something at least.
You had something, and a lot of the guys, Steve Monfredo, I forgot to mention him, Scott Gerber, construction guys, pianist and mentors of mine. The ski to have at that time was that Rosignol hot root.
Oh yeah,
it was a red hot root. It was really flexible. I personally didn't like. I hated skiing that ski on the hard pack. I wasn't.
It's too soft.
It was way too soft, and my skiing style was not suited for that. I thought the K2 810 was actually a pretty good powder ski. Yeah.
Were any of those really that different? I mean, I'm old enough to be on skinny skis. Like didn't they all ski the same almost?
Yeah, basically. Well, I went off when I was off the K2s because I was getting sponsored and deals through being on the patrol with all kinds of ski companies.
Yeah.
Dynastar, RD. I mean, RD was giving us skis on the patrol. So, if it was free, it was for me.
Sure.
So I went through a myriad of different skis, and yes, you're probably right. They all skied well if they weren't too beat up.
Yeah. That's really the whole thing with it. I don't know. It's kind of funny now.
Yeah, because I went to stiff slalom skis that I started to like those, because Crested Butte gets some stiff conditions.
Sure.
Hard chalk.
Which is great, by the way.
And slalom skis were more the style for this mountain to me than GS skis.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have the big open bowls like... Jackson or Snowbird,
right,
or Squaw.
Right.
It was tight tree chutes, and you better be ready to make a turn, or you're in the hospital.
Yeah. Do you miss the days before those lifts, the North Face and the headwall lifts?
Oh.
Some people, I almost feel like they're like, oh, it was so much better. There were no bumps. And
I can't wait to ski this season.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Awesome.
I mean, I am so psyched.
Yeah.
In fact, I just ordered 11 pairs of skis from Romp for my crew. So we've got Crested Butte Builders skis.
Nice.
And the guys, it's a bonus for the guys. They're working hard. I've got 9 employees now, and we've designed a ski. We're using one of their stock designs, but we designed the top sheet.
Yeah. And you get to ride it off. All right.
You get to ride it off, and we get to advertise on the lift, just like you guys do.
Yeah.
Ride the lift. I have clients that I talk to on the lift. I have clients I ski with.
For sure. That's awesome.
I'm older. I'm ready for this season. Those other seasons are gone.
Yeah.
They're great memories, but it's not going to be 1982 again.
Yeah,
it's just
for
not.
Sure. That's awesome. I mean, you've been skiing for 50-some years, and I'll use a Canadian term. You're still such a keener.
Yeah, I'm keen. Yeah.
Why? What do you still love so much about it? That's awesome.
Like you ski, you love it. Just the turns, the feeling, the freedom, the speed, the skill that it takes.
Yeah.
Because obviously it takes skill to make the correct turns.
Yeah.
And once you get that skill, and I hope most people can get to that level, to really flex a ski and feel how it really works.
Yeah.
And don't slide around.
Or even get launched out of a turn, literally.
And you're like on it. You're like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah.
It's sort of, I grew up surfing too, and when you could surf and finally make a good bottom turn, and you could make a cutback, and you could do a re-entry, it was like, wow, this is starting to come around.
It's all coming together.
And you're carving. Whether you're surfing, skiing. Now I'm into water skiing too, but that's similar to me.
Is it?
Yeah.
It does feel the same for water skiing. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, when you link up with short line running a slalom course, it's fantastic feeling.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, you got a boat there, but it's what I do. I ski the snow in the winter, and I ski the water that I skied on in the summer.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Totally. That's awesome. And I think we've actually, I remember we both happened to be at the same lunch place, and we were talking about, I mean, even when there's a white ribbon of death and that's all there is, you can still...
Well, you can always get better.
Totally. Yeah, that's awesome.
You can work on it. Sure, you may be injured. You're coming back from an injury. You can work on something. There's always something to work on your edges. And it goes back, because I had lessons when I was like 5, 4.
Sure, same here.
Yeah, and you did too. And, how to edge your ski. And, a basic thing out there that I think a lot of people don't know, and I see it all the time in the steeps, is a kick turn.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many people that get nosed into something.
Mm-hmm.
And can't get out of it.
Yep.
I constantly see it on that access over to the third bowl.
Sure.
Where you got to launch a little bit. Not this season because it wasn't quite open. As you come under the pasta bowl.
Yeah.
I go, well, they're scared. I go, well, just do a kick turn. And of course, there's a pretty big drop there to do a frontside kick turn on.
Right.
But you got to be able to do that.
Right.
And you should go down and practice it if you don't know, especially if you ski steep terrain.
Oh yeah. You need to be able to.
As a patrolman, we were always like, a patrolman has to know kick, turn, traverse. You can get through anything.
Yeah.
You can get to anybody because you might have to go get someone that fell down something.
Yeah. You did some of the early the extreme comps back in the late. Well, I guess it'd actually be early '90s if I'm not mistaken.
I did the first 2 U.S. extreme skiing championships, and they were here at Crested Butte.
Yeah,
because that made it easy. We were as the ski patrol started to open stuff with that North Face lift going in '86 or '87, I think, to getting us. Spellbound Phoenix really started to put us on the map. And then getting the high lift that got us the head wall, and it got us the west side. Yeah. And that was a big deal. That was a big deal. Of course, T.O. Bowl was sitting over the other side, and consequently that's come online too, in the peak. But the big skiing was big west side runs, head wall, Spellbound, Phoenix, and we knew the third. Well, all the guys on patrol when I got on the 70s had been skiing third and fourth bowls too.
For years and years, even back then,
yeah, and so extreme skiing was sort of the offshoot of mogul. To me, it was because I did a few of the pro mogul events, pro mogul tour.
Okay.
Because at Western I went in all the bump contests on Rezo, and Dave McGuire and I banged bumps.
Really?
A lot. He's still
awesome.
here.
Oh yeah,
he teaches skiing.
Yeah.
I still tell him I beat him all the time. And he goes, "No, you didn't." I go, "Well, yes, I did."
Awesome.
And we had a guy named Gary Westman here, Tan Dog. I mean, there was some really good bump skiers. Like we'd go hike to the face, go down to East River when I was in college, come back up East River, and then pound Rezo for 10 runs under the lift.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
And then go back and do the face again.
Wow. That's
and then I started to go.
Miles.
And as the Pro Mogul tour, I never did any good on the Pro Mogul tour. Like Steve Gruner, who worked on Patrol, Bones, he did pretty good. But I did go in the big on. I went in the Look Ma event at Vail, right above Mid Vail.
Sure.
The one that Airborne Eddie Ferguson, all those guys in the early 70s. That was the run. Not super long, but it's sort of like horseshoe. Steep, huge bumps at the top.
Yeah. I would have skied it when I was, I don't know when, but
yeah. I got through, the 128 guys in it. Oh, and it's duels. So they eliminate, you're out. One run, if the other guy beats you, you're done. I beat the first guy, and then the next guy was Gary Westman, and I didn't beat him. So, but I got 2 runs on it for my money. I was sort of psyched.
Nice.
But I got out of bump skiing because one morning I got up super early at 6. I was going to Breckenridge. I was going to Breck, and what's that run at Mark 1? Is that?
Yeah, it could be. I don't. Yeah.
They had Bones blew his knee out on that run. But all the best skiers in Colorado were on the Pro Mogul Tour. Even Shane McConkey was.
I was going to say,
yeah, and Joey Cordeau from Sun Valley. I mean, these guys were Mike Young from Vail, Darren Rawls. No, not Darren Rawls. I can't remember all the names, but some of these guys were. Scott Kennett, Yukon Steel from Telluride. I used to go down there and compete. That was. I love Telluride.
But that was good too. They got some good bumps.
But then I was driving to it. I had a little front-wheel drive car, and I got to CB South. My back just was locked up. And I was on the patrol. And I go, I'm just going to stick to my day job. So I just turned around, came back, and never went in a bump contest again. I can't remember what year that was. But then it was more into, I'm going to ski these steeper lines.
Yeah.
Which actually is easier on your body if you didn't fall.
For sure. Yeah, no, I've never been a huge bump skier, but I do like the steeps. But
the bumps teaches you, to turn fast.
Oh, sure.
And edge to edge. And then we started skiing, working everything on the North Face, especially Sakatumi Ridge, that ridge line from last steep to what's now Championship Cliffs, all those narrow little slots.
Yeah. No, and those were harder back in the 205 days.
Oh yeah.
So, well, you mentioned Vail. Let's change it up a little bit. So let's just say that Vail does buy the resort, and they put you in charge. What would you do to this ski resort if you?
I would bring back the 7 hours of the banana.
I was going to say that was the next question.
I am actually going to talk to. Some of the people up there when I get a chance.
Awesome.
And approach them about it. I think Wendy Fisher is on board with that too.
Awesome.
So I think us as a team, we don't necessarily have to go in it.
Yeah.
But as an event, I think it was pretty cool when we did.
It was fun, yeah.
Yeah, and there's so many endurance athletes in this town. That this was a lift-served endurance event.
Yeah, it was a different thing for sure, but it was
cool.
Like
the 10 hours at it was sort of modeled a little bit. It's not my total idea on these events because they've had them at different places.
Yeah.
But the one at A Basin,
yeah.
The enduro there is 10 hours of Pallavicini. So that this runs better.
Right. And what did that that was for a charity, if I remember correctly. That was
and it worked well for the adaptive sports.
It was for adaptive, okay.
And the ski club. I had actually mentioned it to both people within 2 or 3 days. I didn't know who was going to take it, and then they both called me back and went, "This is a great idea." And the ski area bought into it at the time.
Yeah.
I think, we had on and off winters that, we only ran it in the Banana 50% of the time. About 6 years we had it.
Yeah.
It was only there 3 years. But we ran it on Twister.
Yeah.
Maybe that was a little dangerous, but Rizzo, they ran it. Kids liked it, but, I think it could fit in with what, can happen at Crested Butte up at the ski area. So that would be something I'd put to new owners.
Yeah.
And another thing I would say is on the snow safety side of things to actually give the patrol boys, some more manpower and some more equipment, and give them the budget to get this place open when it all can be opened.
Yeah.
And we used to do that when I worked for the Callaways. Maybe not every time, but we could sometimes get from Banana to Phoenix. Sometimes, if the snowpack was right, but we would bring in part-timers. We'd bring 50 people in to do the work. Part-timers
and an early call. Yeah.
And an early call. And, I understand budgets. I run them in my business too.
Yeah.
And I don't know the ins and outs of the budgets in the last number of years.
Sure.
So I really can't comment too much of why I think it suffered a little in the last, 15 years or so.
Sure.
But I feel that it has. I would like to see Vail. When you see storms coming, be ready. We're going to get storms.
Sure.
And then we're going to get
hope so.
long periods of dry weather too. Weather reporting is better, I guess, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be better for us as skiers in town. You go line up and they open one thing and it's like it gets slammed.
It's frustrating, yeah.
Yeah, if you had choices.
And then it becomes this big rat race and everyone's running over each other and it's known, and
if they could give you choices, you're like on the Queen going, am I going to the high lift or am I going to the Banana right away on the low traverse?
Yeah.
Or am I going to the NFL really fast? Or am I going to Big Shoot, then the NFL?
Sure, which is really fun to think about those.
Yeah,
but anymore, it's like, well, there's going to be one thing open, and that's where I'm going.
You get off the lift, and you're like, in a line going.
Yeah. And then an hour later, you've got the same choice. You're like, all right, this is where I'm going. And we're all going the same place.
So if it snows a bunch, I don't even go up there early.
I know. It's not the thing.
Go backcountry skiing, when it's safe. But I like skiing in the ski area, too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's the best.
It really improves your ski skills.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Let's change the subject a little bit. So how many times have you had a drink out of a toilet plunger?
Well, I did a year of it.
A year of it. So how many is that? So anyway,
that's a lot of plungers. Luckily, I didn't actually touch the rubber.
Well, why don't you explain what it is for people who aren't aware?
Plunger is actually a scepter that I got, and everyone gets in this town if you become the king or queen of Flauschink.
And Flauschink is?
Flauschink is a festival at the end of the season to flush out the winter and bring in the spring. George Sibley, who ran the paper up here and worked at Western State, started it, I believe, in 1968 because we just had our 50th.
Okay.
Yep, it was last year, and Doug Croft.
Okay. Yep, he
became king, and it's just been something this town's done at the end of the season.
Sure.
It's quite an honor.
They got not quite an honor. It's a huge honor.
It's a huge honor. I was very proud to do it. Sherry Vandervoort sort of heads things up with the committee, and Paula Dietrich and others, and you got to go to the events.
Yeah.
They like to give it to people that have given back to the community and done stuff. And,
sure.
Maybe it's just time as a local counts as well. It always works out that Sherry always has the best poem for the king and queen at the time. And when I became king, I didn't quite expect it because I went to the patrol party thinking, but the Flauschink party was at the same party. And we went late because I'd gone to dinner with friends, and I think we went there after 10 o'clock. And it was going on. I thought they'd already picked a king, queen. I sat at the bar, and then Buck Mile came up to me and said, "You're the king." And I said, "No, I didn't sign the waiver for that." And then, you do it. And if anyone can do it in town, you should. And it was super. It was a big honor.
Yeah.
That way.
Awesome.
And you really don't have to drink as much as you think. You can act like you are. You can actually put water in your scepter, in your plunger.
Tricks of the trade.
You can throw the shots over your shoulder, because you can have fun, but sometimes you don't want to do it all the time.
But you're not actually 21 anymore, so. Well, let's start to wrap it up a little bit. Sure. You own Crested Butte Builders, so you just started doing that in the summers, and
Yep.
it just kind of morphed into what it is now, basically.
I worked, as I mentioned earlier, for guys on the ski patrol that had construction companies, Bob Huckins, for example, BC, Jeff Pike, who I worked, Eric Lamb, too.
Uh-huh.
George Reinhardt, I worked for him for one summer. And gained experience, started at the bottom. I worked over at where Clark's Market, where True Value is, jackhammering that floor out.
Good stuff.
And it made me think I need to go to graduate school, because standing here blasting out concrete and all that dust, and we didn't have quite the respirators you're supposed to have today.
Right.
And I feel fine, but I thought, heck, I'm going to go back to school and move on with my education, maybe go get a law degree or something. My dad had been an attorney.
Okay.
But I quickly went, nah, I don't want to do that.
This isn't that bad.
And my dad even said, why would you want to do that? You've got a great life going.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
As Crested Butte grew, there were opportunities that came up. And, the 80s here, there were times when there was 1 or 2 building permits pulled in this town.
Right.
And BC and Pike had one of those. It was like one job in the summer. One job, if you can imagine it.
Yeah.
And it was pretty slow at times.
Yeah.
But it really stepped up in the 90s, 91, 92.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up buying a lot in Mount CB for $19,000.
Yeah.
Put a house on it as the market rose, and I sold it. And that was a pretty big stepping stone.
Yeah.
Teaching me how to run a job, even though I had help from Eric Lamb on that. Tremendous help. And it sort of went from there. I went back and worked for Eric on and off. And as the market here improved, and obviously the population of the country has expanded.
Yeah.
When I came here in 79, there were probably 250 million people in the country.
Right.
What is there now? There's probably 350.
Yeah.
So in my lifetime here, it's just more people.
Yeah.
More demands, drives prices up. Hopefully not too much, although, for this town, it's gone up pretty substantially.
Yeah.
But
of course.
It took a long time for that to happen.
Yeah.
There were 10 years where the prices here did not move in the 80s. Actually, they went down. I bought that lot from a guy that paid $19,000 in 1979.
Sure.
10 years later for the same price. That is just a total loss.
Well, you're right.
For him.
And it's always cyclical. That was the savings and loan crash at that time, and there have been others. So yeah.
I didn't know much about any of that, but the timing, I got to say, my timing was, I didn't make the timing up. It just happened to me. I just came here at that time, and consequently, I've built a business, and we put out a good product, and our communication's good with the clients, and we have a reasonable percentage that they accept and I get, and management, although I did management classes down at Western, but in construction the best laid plans always go astray on trying to get things done. But it's people skills, it's who it's building relationships, paying people on time,
getting good
people, doing what you say you're going to do, and doing that. And I did that, and consequently the last 20 plus years Crested Butte Builders has gotten, we went through the slow times of 09, 10, but we got through it. We always had a job, and now it's quite busy.
I bet.
It is, and that may, but that's cyclical too.
Sure.
We'll take the ride right now and see what happens.
Yep, for sure. So Crested Butte is home for you. So why do you still choose to make Crested Butte home?
Well, my business is here. My love of the outdoors is here. Mm-hmm. Skiing on the hill. Like I said, I just got all those skis for my crew, and we can't wait to ski them.
Yeah.
Mountain biking, I do that too. Actually, you and I used to race together.
Oh, I know. No.
Yeah.
When we did 24 hours, it was same lap. I was just, there he is again. I'm not catching him, but at least I'm not losing right now.
We did, and I do remember the pinnacle races
Pinnacles
we did
were
at the
good.
beginning. Those were so hard out of the gate.
Oh, jeez.
Those were the hardest, first 20 minutes of a lot of things I've done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially I was usually coming off hanging 20 sheets of drywall or something.
Drywall. I was coming off pounding nails. I got into, more running the business, but get off work, get my bike ready. Sometimes get it ready in the morning, so I can still grab it. Yeah. And then you run up to the base area. That was so much fun.
Yeah.
And we just go as hard as we could.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely a good time. Well, one last question. Who else should I interview?
I think you should interview BC.
Okay.
Yeah. A mentor of mine, a classic Crested Butte guy.
Yeah, and for sure.
You should check out his old promo videos on YouTube. He's in them from the early 80s. And
where is that? What's the search term to?
Yeah, they're on YouTube. Maybe Spirit of Crested Butte, although I don't think that one's on yet. But I have that one. That's another one.
Okay.
But there was one we did in 80, 81. Brock Smith, BC, George Chumley's in that video. It's a good one. And BC is just launching all those twister roads.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
With a red sweater on.
Okay. All right.
I mean, he was
I'll
a
take
stud.
a look.
He still is, know?
Yeah.
I mean, when we did the banana... that last time I did it when Wendy won it, and I was a minute and a half behind her with 34 laps down there.
That's crazy.
76,000 vertical. BC was 33 laps, and he only missed the last chair ride by about 20 seconds. So he would have 20 seconds. If he had gotten that last 4 o'clock chair, we were just ahead.
Sure.
Wendy was coming under the lift, and I'm at Tower 25 going, I can't catch her. But I couldn't catch her anyway. I was like, but I'm looking back going, is BC
who else is behind me? Yeah.
Well, BC was all day. And he was 60-something years old then.
Yeah.
I mean, all the younger guys, they can ski faster for a few runs, but not all the runs.
No, I would lose it and start getting sketchy and getting scared because I'm sketchy and. Whew.
Yeah, you do get a bit sketchy. Yeah, and I ended up breaking my leg at A Basin because I had pushed it a bit too hard.
Yeah. Anyway, well, awesome. Thanks so much for chatting.
You bet, Frank. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
I'll see you around.